This video contains spoilers for the Descendants film original trilogy, as well as on both seasons of Descendants Wicked World. There are time codes in the description if you want to jump around. You good on that? Great. Let's dive right in. I know I said that the Snow White roast was my next retrospective. It still is, don't worry. I am still keeping up my end of the bargain and releasing it this next week on April 18th. The following week on April 18th. I'm keeping that promise. But I had to do a few little snips out of the Disney retrospective to see what fit and what didn't. And one franchise just didn't seem to fit in the Disney retrospective. The Descendants franchise. This film trilogy lasted for this film trilogy is one of my favorites, and I can say Descendants had a good solid streak until last year when Rise of Red came out. That movie was bad. With all that being said, let's dive right in. Descendants was a... Production on Descendants began early as December of 2013. When it was announced that production on the film was released a plot outline by Kenny Ortega, a director who had previously worked with Disney on the High School Musical trilogy. This is where we begin. This is when a small idea from Kenny Ortega became a series juggernaut. This is Descendants, a complete retrospective. Filming began in Vancouver in the spring of 2014. As casting was also about for Descendants. As casting immediately began to reveal itself with Dove Cameron Boyce, Bobo Stewart, and Sophia Carson cast as the main characters, as the main trio. But with filming done, with filming about to be wrapped, when would we get footage? Well, Descendants would get its first footage with a teaser trailer released in December of 2014. Only showing a poisoned apple with the Disney logo in it. Nothing more. Shout out to Game Center. Look, I don't do shout outs for everyone who subs. Look, not everyone gets shout-outs. Not everyone gets a shout-out, but fine. My family also gets one, but that's the final shout-out that I'll be doing in this live stream. This is a retrospective. Now, where was I? Oh, right, I remember. But the problem is, There wasn't any footage. This was a teaser in every sense of the word. Not one bit of footage was glimpsed into Descendants in this trailer, in the first trailer, all leading us into what promised to be no trailer. But it all led to June 1st, 2015. It all led to April 28th of 2015, where a full trailer was released online. Getting audiences already hyped up for what promised to be an adventure unlike anything Disney had released before. But it all led to July 31st, 2015, where finally audiences could journey to their TV screens for the beginning of the Descendants film trilogy. And already this starts off with a bang, beginning with narration from Mal, voiced by Dove Cameron. As narration from Mal, daughter of Maleficent, voiced by Dove Cameron, begins Descendants with narration. For those who call me a nerd, prepare to be blocked, because I'm not afraid to do it. I have a block button in this live stream, and I will use it. With the narration already set in stone, it's time to begin introducing new characters, including Mitchell Hope's character Ben, voiced by By block, I mean you're in timeout. Have fun, grasshopper. Think about it. That's the warning. Right after Mitchell Hope's Ben's introduction, we immediately jump into our first musical number. With Kenny Ortega as the film's director, we knew we were going to get some good musical numbers. And already things promised to be big. Beginning with one of my favorite songs of the trilogy, Rotten to the Core. This song's my first favorite of this entire movie. It's a banger from start to finish, as Mal ends the song by stealing candy from a baby? Even Maleficent doesn't like that, revealing that Mal can do so much better. And this disdain was already put in full. If you walked to bookstores and bought the Descendants Isle of the Lost book, which is a prequel, so have fun. That book's a prequel that is not that book's a prequel that has a spoiler at the end. And after that, Maleficent reveals that the VKs are being sent to Auradon. But then this is revealed to be one of Maleficent's plans for revenge, as she wants to get revenge on anyone who's ever wronged the villains. Simply by using the fairy godmother's wand? Huh. Right after that, we meet Audrey, played by Sarah Jeffrey, who would become Mao's villain and who would become Mao's main antagonist throughout this movie and the third installment. More on her later. But already the movie ended. Already the movie proved to be a good film. But the movie picks up the anticipation in the third act, where during the third act, the movie hits us at all areas, as the ending shows Maleficent turn into a lizard. The movie did well on Rotten Tomatoes, getting a solid 90%. It's already that a sequel was already going to be made. But audiences were wondering if a sequel would happen. Well, no news on a Descendants sequel would happen, with only a spin-off series being released for the Descendants franchise called Wicked World which I watched. And the first episodes aired in September of 2015. But it all led to the big piece of news, because at the 2015 D23 Expo, Disney announced that a sequel film has been ordered. As China Anne McClain, who has already worked with Disney on Ant Farm, and also who voiced Freddy in the Descendants Wicked World series, was already cast to come to the main world of the Descendants live-action films as Uma, the daughter of the sea witch Ursula. But no announcement was given. Well, that was until during the two-part season series premiere of Elena of Avalor in July of 2016, audiences got their first look at Descendants 2 in the form of a teaser trailer. Now, this teaser doesn't show much. As a matter of fact, it doesn't show any footage. Just showing Mal and her friends walking down a hallway as a tentacle grabs the bubble. as we hear the sinister laughter of this movie's villain, Uma. As we begin marketing into the early months of the year, in the early months of 2016, marketing for Descendants 2 picked up in short bursts, beginning with a new teaser trailer. And this teaser trailer is better than the first one that was ever released. Showing a teaser, and also confirming the release date of confirming the release date would be July 21st, as Disney amped up marketing towards that release date. On my birthday, which Descendants remembered, they released the first official trailer, showing more footage and more prizes that Uma would be one of Mao's villains. But here's the main thing. Audrey's voice actress was not on the call sheet. Turns out Audrey's voice actress did not want to return for the sequel. But all led to July 21st, 2017, where finally audiences could journey to theaters and journey back to the Disney Channel, or wherever you lived if you had other channels, where your version of Descendants 2 was playing, to witness this installment. And this movie's better than the first one. Descendants has a case where its sequels are better than the first ones. And Descendants 2 just keeps up that anticipation bigger. The movie begins with Mel having some second thoughts on the whole princess thing and decides to return to the Isle. Returning to the Isle to see that Uma and her pirate gang have taken over. And this movie builds to a second act where, similar to the first movie, there's a post-credit scene. Yep, this movie ends with a post-credit scene, where when we think Uma was barbecued into calamari by Mao's dragon breath, it was wrong. As a post-credit scene showed Uma alive laughing, saying that, "You didn't think the story was over, did ya?" Foreshadowing another installment. The Descendants duology would become a Descendants trilogy. But during that production, the Descendants fan base at large got news that we never thought would come. Because on July 6, 2019,